Platoon. I got Big Mug here, I got Meatball with the cutest little tie, and we have you talking about the everything connection, right? Exactly how is the GME and AMC saga related to the global financial market? Like everything that we have talked about in the past. Now it's the test, right? You have been prepping, you have gone through midterm after midterm, and now is the ultimate test. In the greatest time of weakness, we will be the strongest together. So let's take a quick look at exactly what the chaos theory is, how everything is connected. This is the video that you guys need to catch up on in order to be able to understand everything in the DD that we have tried to lay out in front of you. As a reminder, watch until the end. Make sure that you guys have already smashed that like button to defeat the YouTube algorithm, and we will continue onward. So let's take a look. Citadel, BlackRock, Susquehanna, and many others are intricately connected. Hold on, let me see. Intricately connected through a variety of sources, namely offshore tax havens as proven through Panama and Paradise Papers. They attempt to piece together what they believe is the reason you are seeing certain behavior from each of these parties. What you're about to read is their attempt to amalgamate multiple pieces of DD, right? So this does not mean it's 100% right, simply their thoughts about how the elements may piece together. So this is research built on top of research, peer-reviewed, and built on a scaffold of important data, but also important speculation. So take it with a grain of salt and make sure that you understand that this is not actual financial advice, because I am not a financial advisor and neither is this DD writer. Introduction, follow the money. Let's take a trip to the Cayman Islands and back again. The Ugland house, a new foe has appeared, familiar faces, and what does this mean for apes? I want to bring you guys to the very bottom, because I do want you guys to know how much juicy information is in here to begin with, and then we're going to actually skip to our dessert first to actually understand what is this mean for the apes here. So what does this mean for apes? They believe that the connection between Susquehanna at blah, 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 blah is incredibly complex and has many moving pieces beyond what any of us imagined. They believe that there is a 5D game of chess being played and apes are just a pawn that is plowing the way to victory. It is their opinion that BlackRock isn't just looking to kill off Melvin. They think that they're working with the government and Fed to make some major changes happen to the market. What's the end goal? It's not entirely obvious to me yet. You can read a bit more about it on the Bloomberg under the title, Why BlackRock is Now the Fourth Branch of Government. Sorry, they'd post the link, but they don't want the auto moderator to kick in again. Just Google that title. So as a reminder, right, this is kind of like The Godfather with the certain families like the Tataglias or the Barcinis working with the police. So this is BlackRock taking a quick swing at Citadel using the guise of snitching and whistleblowing. So too long didn't read. They think there's a lot of shady things going on with the world, whether you believe all of it or none of it, just hodl, right? They hope that this framework will help you start your own research and figuring out what we're dealing with here. So let's take a quick look. We are going to skip around to make sure that you guys have a comprehensive overview, but we're not being bogged down by the, the pieces that might not matter as much. So let's see. Follow the money. We know that Susquehanna has been an interest in recent weeks due to the suspicious nature of their position within the GME saga. Suspicion grew quickly when Redditors pointed out that Dr. Burry may have been pointing a finger to Susquehanna through a hidden message on Twitter. Whether this was actually happening is up to you. Now we have Sus attempting to appeal new DTCC regulations, OCC 003, to make things even weirder. And remember, when we were looking at whether or not 801 was truly passed, we saw that OCC 003 had a appeal, and the only appeal came from, you guessed it, Susquehanna. So their growing position prompted them to start doing a deep dive of their positions across the market, particularly how they've doubled in size since the start of the pandemic, right? So we're looking at this. Remember, there is no coincidence. There is no coincidences, okay? We start looking at their filings to the SEC. We have multiple connections to Susquehanna-related companies here. They highlighted Capital Ventures International, CVI, and their main point of interest for the peculiar reason that they're based out of the Cayman Islands. So there's 64,000 people where Citadel is laundering bonds. It turns out they're not the only ones. Yeah, not by a long shot. When people are joking about the Cayman Islands, no, this is really just where you can launder your money, criminal activities for white collar crimes. So this is just the Cayman Islands where we saw Citadel hiding their other companies, their sister companies, or their basically just hiding the fact that it's just them in the Cayman Islands right here. You can find the source of the address on broker check report here under FINRA, etc., etc. Let's take a trip to the Cayman Islands and back again. Great. Now that we understand that CVI is in bed with Susquehanna and owned by them, let's go a layer deeper. It is mentioned in the address is at this place in the Cayman Islands. They were genuinely curious if this dress was real, and then when they did a Google search, none other than the Paradise Papers come up. Remember the massive investigation that exposed some of the world's most powerful leaders, right? The Panama Papers, the Paradise Papers. This is an opportunity to actually see. This is connected to a larger piece of that whistleblowing connection here. Offshore Leaks is an amazing website that can allow you to do a network visualization to see who's connected to what. I think if anything, you have rewarded yourself by staying to this part of the video and checking out this site, right? You can actually see the Regatta offices park and then how that connects to this person, that connects to all of these pieces. Graph networks, so cool. Graph databases are very, very cool. And there's an edit here, further validation of Apollo investments, limited required. So if you guys are a private investigator, this person is looking for you. You'll notice that Mr. Walmsley comes up a couple of times through the post, but for now, we'll see that he's connected to this address that CVI is registered to. We can confirm his participation in CVI via a 13G filing through the SEC. So this is stuff that they, like, for example, the leaks that we saw about 49% loss on Melvin, right? That stuff is like leaked to the public and requires multiple different like leaks and press releases in order to actually get this out through all of these different news articles. However, this kind of digging is not the same. This kind of digging, it requires you to look into paperwork that they don't want you to see, paperwork that they're required to file, and unfortunately has their names on them that then connects them back to the larger puzzle as of right now. So recap, we know that Mr. Walmsley is located in the Cayman Islands, director of CVI, which is owned by Susquehanna, and some sort of senior title in a company called Apollo Investment. So we are getting to the meat of the matter here. Let's take a look at who are the majority stakeholders of Apollo Global Management, right? We have Tiger Global Management LLC with 33 million shares. We have BRH Holdings and Vanguard. So Tiger Global Management, yes, that it was one of the Tiger Cubs associated, right? We had Mr. Bill Huang in the Archegos margin call scandal. Hope it's Bill. Tenants, rental fees at the Salo building are amongst the most expensive in Manhattan. So remember they said there's no coincidences. Let's look at where both Apollo and Tiger Global Management are located in New York. Okay, this is starting to become a stretch in my opinion. They work together. Okay, that is a little suspicious, but you know, that doesn't mean too much. Mark Rowan of Apollo became the new CEO just back in February of this year. Okay. Rowan was also quoted as saying that following during a Credit Suisse Financial Services forum, that he said last month he would relinquish the CEO role but remain Apollo's board chairman following a review of his ties to Jeffrey Epstein. Okay, now if we ever mention Jeffrey Epstein, suddenly we are now in conspiracy land. Side quest part 2. Okay, let's ignore the side quest for now. The Ugland House. Let's go back into the other address that we saw in the CVI investments. We saw Ugland House, Grand Cayman Islands. So back in the Paradise Papers we go. This place is so cool. It has its own Wikipedia page. Barack Obama referred to the Ugland House as the biggest tax scam in the entire world. It has 40,000 entities and businesses in this really big house. That exact address is linked in a document called the Moose Scale, which is owned by Moose Partners. Remember, there's thousands of businesses registered here. So it seems like our friends here are just one of many that is currently in this this Moose Scale huge mega house here, Ugland House in the Cayman Islands. Too many side quests here, so let's actually take a look at the source if you wanted to see the whole thing. Here we go. So now we actually bring back 8-bits territory of the everything short research. They are Citadel, operating out of multiple places in the Cayman Islands, and the Ugland House is the primary destination. They are flipping bonds here and making bank, right? Remember, we've talked about mortgage-backed securities back in 2008. Now it's treasury bonds with repurchase agreements. So this is currently what the scam is, putting the entire global economy at risk. But guess who we build a connection to? This picture is kind of blurry, but I'm sure the next line will tell us. Turns out BlackRock has a strategic partnership with a company called Swiss Re. So this literally is the dartboard, the cork board with a bunch of pins and a bunch of yarn with a bunch of connections here. That's the police. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to say anything. I didn't mean to blow the whistle here. I did mean to blow this whistle. So let's see now. And reinsurer is the insurance company that insures the risks of other insurance companies. A cedent is insured that transfers all or parts of the risk to a reinsurer. So they're the insurance for the insurance, kind of like how the DTC is the purse strings for the purse strings. Why is this important? Look who's partnered with them as of 2012. BlackRock. They should mention that at the point Swiss Re manages a cool $240 billion in assets, nothing to be scoffed at. Add to the fact that 39% of their investments are in government bonds and 27% in credit bonds. So we are basically putting the faces of the parties guilty in this everything short that A. Tobit has mentioned back into context. So I am actually going to send this part at the very least to Austin to see what he thinks about this. And now let's see. Yes, the last section. Already made the infamous everything short post once again. Palafox has been acting as a direct proxy for Citadel, which means as a means to rehypothecate bonds. And again, that exclusive DD with Austin is coming out soon, whenever Austin has time to continue working with me. But now, how do they connect? First, we see that public accountant in a company called PricewaterhouseCoopers, which work with Palafox. Thank you for the community for clearing this up. We know that this may be a null conclusion considering PwC works with a multitude of clients. We know that PwC is a big accounting corporation, okay? So let's zoom out on the network and visualization from earlier that connect BlackRock with Citadel through the Ugland House. Remove the section explaining the connection as it was too speculative. Just know for now that both members have entities that are registered to the same two locations in the Cayman Islands and the Bahamas. So as of right now, this is fully 50% drawing on a cork string with yarn, but at the same time, being able to give us the foundation for these tenuous connections to become more sustainable and more substantial in the future. So once again, throw some packages in the chat. If you're coming from a different live stream, tell us where, and some bagels in the chat if you're coming from Uncle Bruce. And I want to say thank you guys for staying to the end of this video, and I appreciate you. And we'll likely see you part of this group someday, right? With the Moon, Platoon, Gorilla, Nair, Enemy, Wall of Space Legends here, and we will see you in the money.